with miscellaneous. We are the Blue Eagles, and we gotta spell it out. So sing it with me now. What? B-L-U-E-E-H-E-L-E B-L-U-E Eagle follow me B-L-U-E-E-H-E-L-E B-L-U-E Eagle follow me. Girl, I'm feeling blue, and babe, I gotta tell you that it's and you and me, Holmes, you and me. Ride it to the sky and sing it till you die. Oh, I've been Mr. Fly. You got to believe that we are the true people, and you know we sing it loud to the crowd. Blue Eagle. You got to believe that I'm gonna show you how, and I'm gonna show you. Infinitely majestic, cutting through the sun as we levitate. Aerial designs from the mind that would meditate. Earthbound, as I touch sky to the ground. Now let me tell you how the king rocks to the sound like this. More bliss, don't think you'll miss the boogie with the beat to the clouds we kiss. Now this battle flag is ablaze in blue-white to take flight high across the Orient seas. Grooves in the wind like a tropical breeze with the ease. Maneuver to the beautiful expanse. I'm covering the mic with my lyrical wingspan. Fly with the spirit of a new frontier. We are the kings of the atmosphere. Like B-L-U-E-E-H-E-L-A B-L-U-E Eagle flower B-L-U-E-E-H-E-L-A Blue Eagle flower. You know you gotta rock to this.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin mista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng pera. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod. Todo sa kayod, tulong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing hiding at tigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan.
Susunod na ang Baka naman Pwede sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Radyo, Katipunan.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atinista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod. Todo sa kayod, tulong at tulong. ulo, lipad na Blue Eagle, galing itim nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
Baka naman pwede.
Baka naman pwede.
Baka naman pwede.
Mga isyung napapanahon ating pag-usapan.
Baka naman pwede.
Gamit ang mga pananaw mula sa iba't ibang kalinangan.
Baka naman pwede.
Mula sa Institute of Philippine Culture, kami inyong samahan, tayo'y maghuntahan. Dito lang sa
Baka naman pwede.
tuwing Huwebes, alas 3 ng hapon, dito lang sa Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Magandang hapon po sa lahat. Nakikinig kayo ngayon sa Baka Naman Pwede, isang programa ng Institute of Philippine Culture at ng Radyo Katipunan na naglalayong pagnilayan ng mga napapanahong issue gamit ang lente ng Agham Panlipunan o Social Sciences. Nais din nating mapagkwentuhan ng mga bagay na baka naman pwede nating tignang muli, pagkukulan ng pansin at aksyonan. Ako si John Abletis mula sa Institute of Philippine Culture at ako ang inyong tagapagpadaloy sa hapong ito. At para sa mga gustong balikan ang mga nakaraang episodes ng Baka Naman Pwede, mangyari lamang na bisitahin ang aming Facebook page sa Institute of Philippine Culture at ng Radyo Katipunan. Ngayong hapon, makakasama natin si Ginoong Marcos Calo Medina upang pag-usapan ng ating cultural heritage at kung paano natin ito mapapayabong at mapapakilala sa mas marami pang mga Pilipino. Sa mga manonood natin sa Facebook, pwede kayong sumali sa ating kwentuhan. Mangyari lamang na i-type ang inyong mga komento at katanungan sa comment section at babasahin namin ang mga ito sa ating Q&A portion mamaya. So hayaan niyong ipakilala ko sa inyo ang ating esteemed guest for this afternoon. Mr. Carlos Calo Medina has a graduate degree in Development Studies and Social Anthropology from Oxford University. He also conducted ethnographic fieldwork in Mexico for his doctoral research on the anthropology of Catholicism among the Jesuits, Mestizos, and Celta Maya of Chilon, Chiapas. He entered the UP College of Music for his undergraduate studies and moved to the Universities of Xiamen, Beijing, and Shenzhen for a degree in Classical Chinese Literature. He also worked as a reporter for the Associated Press News Agency in Beijing, Hong Kong, and Taipei. He is also one of the scriptwriters and the producers of Travel Time, a pioneering travel documentary show in the Philippines from 1986 to 2015. Sa ating mga tagapakinig at manonood, bigyan natin ng masigabong virtual na palakpakan si Ginoong Marco Carlo Medina. Welcome po sa Baka Naman Pwede, Sir Mark.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation.
Ayan po. Kumusta po kayo? What keeps
Mabuti
you busy
naman.
these days?
Looking forward to talking about things which have always been close to my heart, as well as from travel time all the way to my work as an anthropologist at Oxford. Thank you.
Ayan. So thank you po, Sir Mark, for giving us the opportunity to talk with you today. Okay, so let's go to the questions. So Sir, para po sa inyo po, ano po ba yung ibig sabihin ng cultural heritage? How do we define that concept? And tingin niyo po bakit siya mahalagang pag-usapan?
Well, heritage is either tangible or intangible, are traditions, objects, whether material culture that we've inherited from the past, and these are things that we would like preserved and protected and passed on to future generations. We call that patrimony, no? Of course, heritage has the definition of heritage has gone through many forms. What we call heritage now were topics anthropologists have been focusing on since the discipline was invented in the 20s, Malinovsky and his boat building and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Today, we categorize these artifacts, these life processes, traditions, cultural traditions, histories. We classify that all under the broad definition of heritage. I think, in the past maybe few decades or so, it's become at the forefront of the conversation, both local and global conversation of culture and the arts. Of course, heritage isn't limited to what we call the arts in general. It can mean a lot of other things. So, how we approach heritage has also evolved with greater awareness of tensions, contradictions, power differentials in the way that we describe heritage itself. So, I think we are at a going back to the way you mentioned travel, when you mentioned Travel Time as a show that started in 1986. The parameters of the conversation and what went into the conversation back then is very different from where it is now.
Okay.
And I don't know how the tension between heritage and tourism, or travel/tourism, how that would be addressed at this point by a show like Travel Time. So, nonetheless, that being said, I'm happy to know that more and more of the younger generation are more conscious of the traditions or general idea of heritage, whether material or immaterial, tangible or intangible.
Yeah.
So yes, what do we do to promote it? Well, we have radio conversations like this. We
Yeah.
have social media that takes us to quote unquote exotic places, and because social media is not bound to by commercial interests and sponsors. We can talk about topics which would not otherwise reach a wider audience. So yes, so basically to keep the conversation going, and hopefully the ones that come after us will be a little more aware of how development can be sustained intelligently, conscious of the traditions and what we would classify under the general rubric of heritage with a capital H.
Ayan. So, thank you po, Sir Mark. See, you mentioned po power differentials, and then before the show started, di ba po?
Yeah.
Pinag-usapan din po natin yon. Parang who defines what is cultural heritage, ganyan.
I mentioned power differentials kasi everyone, whether here or in Mexico or Taipei, Hong Kong, we're always talking about, even in the UK, heavy on the discourse, prevalent in the discourse is this presence of UNESCO. UNESCO, the UNESCO recognition of what is tangible and intangible heritage.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, you're a bunch of diplomats and experts in Paris, in the global north, telling us in the global south what should be preserved, what should be kept pure and authentic, disputable subjects for me. What should be valuable to us? And I'm thinking, parang baliktad. It's like,
Yeah.
to what extent can the local communities define what is heritage to them? Kasi heritage to someone is just everyday life to another. Basket weaving in Palawan is 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 just part of their daily practices,
Yeah.
and yet it's heritage to people like us here in Manila.
Yeah.
And therefore, oy, dapat ganitong itsura ng basket mo, ha. Hindi pwede mong galawin, hindi kailangan authentic 'yan. So I'm thinking there's a very there's some tension in defining heritage, which does not necessarily have to be unproductive or negative. It can open up
Okay.
a conversation of what is heritage and how this whole international controversy about cultural appropriation. So it's, I think it boils down to indigenous or local communities not having any say in how their products are being marketed and promoted globally. So yeah, that in a way reflects the differentials in power.
Yeah.
Who decides? Who are the stakeholders? Are the stakeholders all involved? Defining heritage is essentially a multifaceted endeavor. It's a multifaceted conversation. We talk to different peoples. It's an endless conversation about what is valuable
Yeah.
to the communities and what are not.
Yeah.
So yes, then that to me is the tension, not on, and that's just defining heritage. What about heritage versus tourism?
Correct.
Heritage versus tourism / travel.
Yeah.
How do we bridge that gap? How do we sustain the conversation productively?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the answers.
Okay lang naman, sir. Na we don't have all the answers, but at least we converse about these topics.
Oo.
Yun nga po. So as you said nga po, parang may tensions nga po when it comes to defining what is authenticity. Yung sabi niyo about weaving the basket.
I think authenticity is an ambiguous, slippery concept for me personally. The idea of being, of course, we can say that what is authentic is anything that I grew up with, but that doesn't further the conversation. For example, let's take food. The authentic adobo is the adobo that I grew up with. Well, that doesn't say anything. It stops the conversation right there. But the point, my apprehension about using the word authentic or grappling with the word authenticity is that it assumes cultures evolve in a vacuum.
Yeah.
That cultures should be protected, or certain aspects of the development of cultures should be protected and preserved from this thing called quote unquote modernity. Is that the case? I don't think so. I mean, what was authentic to us now was an invented tradition 50, 100 years ago.
Correct.
So, I think it's important to recognize the temporal aspect of how cultures develop and how heritage arises therefrom. So, we must preserve the authentic. Parang, I have to think about that a little. I think more important is how authenticity is weaponized.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Di ba? Mas authentic yung pagkain ko kaysa sa'yo. Mas authentic yung adobo ko kaysa sa'yo.
Yeah.
Di ba? I mean, that's an interesting topic of the discourse kasi parang doon pumapasok yung identity, nationalism,
Correct.
pumapasok yung the othering of entities or peoples. I am the authentic, you are the other. Parang
Yeah.
that's an interesting tension to explore.
Opo. And parang ano po, no? Parang may assumption na cultures don't evolve.
Well, kaya ako naiilang pag sinasabi nilang for example, my father's from Pampanga, no? And I identify myself as Kapampangan, even if my Kapampangan is very crude. Sinasabi nila Kapampangan is a dying language. Dying. Teka muna. Baka naman ibig sabihin nun evolving. 'Di ba? I mean, hindi naman mawawala yung Berganyo dictionary, Kapampangan dictionary of 17 something something or 16 something something. Hindi naman mawawala yun eh. But the words change. How the words are used change.
Yeah.
I mean, we're even speaking now of many different kinds of Englishes rather than just one English.
Correct.
So, that raises the question, therefore, what is authentic?
Yeah. Hindi even sir, di ba, yung issue ng indigenous. Maraming cultural issues in
Ay, marami. But the important thing is to keep the conversation going. I think when people kasi talk about preserving heritage, dito tayo sa Manila, lalo na yung mga mahilig sa garments, fabric, mga ganyan, mga authentic weaving. It's a very elite point of view, an elite perspective of what heritage is. Yung nalalagay sa museum, yung maganda, yung luma, yung hindi na nagagawa ngayon, hindi na na-produce ngayon. Yan ang heritage, yan ang authentic. But meron naman, pwede naman yung, I mean, how do you say, a building, for example, a heritage home, for example, an old house of 50, 100 years old is re-articulated and adapted to in order to survive financially. So is that old house still authentic? Diba? Parang it makes you think. You question your idea of what is
authenticity,
heritage and what is authentic to begin with.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Tapos you also mentioned po na yung heritage, parang may intangible siya and also the tangible. Parang when you were doing po travel time back in the days, parang how was heritage appreciated back then? Na parang mas ano po ba siya, sir, mas tangible ba, mas mga buildings ba ganyan, mas mga monuments ba ganyan?
Alam mo kasi, okay, ito yung nadudulot ng video kasi we had to have produce visuals. Pinapakita ng travel time at that time not by design but out of necessity of filling 50 minutes of video. Pinapakita yung proseso. Yung context, yung social context.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother would say, "Oy, pag basket weaving, hindi lang pwedeng weaving yan, it's boring. Mga 2 weeks lang yan. Pakita mo yung mga tao, how they live, where they live, what they do on a daily basis, saan sila bumibili ng ratan, or saan sila bumibili ng pagkain, anong linuluto nila, anong pagkain nila, masarap ba?"
Yeah.
So, it's that in itself, I don't think my mother was by far not an academic, but her approach to the TV program was very ethnographic. I mean, because she had to show visuals and videos and action, part of the part of the feature on a particular place, which initially should be about heritage, pinapakita niya yung context,
Yeah.
which for me is important when we interrogate, investigate, explore the meaning of heritage. Maraming stakeholders kasi yan saka maraming proseso. Of course, time is part of the logic, yung proseso 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Nandun pa ba? Or will the processes, the social processes, will that be able to be sustained 50 years from now? I think yun ang mga pumapasok sa isip ko pag may nagtatanong sa akin about, how I feel about cultural heritage. What is culture? What is heritage? They're both processes for me, no?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
in other words, walang sagot.
And as you said, sir, it's a process. And because it's a process, so syempre may mga negotiations, and included in those negotiations are stakeholders with
Correct.
different powers, with different capitals. So as you
Yeah.
said, you already mentioned the UNESCO people, and then the government, and then people sa tourism, and then the community themselves, trying to figure out ano yung place nila sa project ng mga ito, ng gobyerno, ng UNESCO, ganyan, ng private.
Oo.
Yeah.
I think ang pinaka I mean, I can see, from the general discourse of heritage and culture, ang tension ngayon kasi is between heritage as a category and tourism as a project. So, one is commercial, one is cultural, one is a business, one is an advocacy. Dun nagkakatalo eh. I mean, halimbawa, I don't know. Let's what's a good example? Yung hotel sa sa Bohol, sa Chocolate Hills, for instance.
Okay. Yeah.
Landscape is part of our heritage. Landscape is part of the conversation. Tapos lalagyan ng hotel sa gitna. Paano
Yung swimming
paano
pool.
nangyari yun?
Yung swimming
Diba?
pool, yeah. Oo. Opo.
I mean, that's just an extreme. It can appear, it can be closer to us, more intimate.
Yeah.
Bibili ka ng barong. Gusto mo pinya. Pero a certain style, wala nang pure pinya ngayon. Pinya seda na lang. So, parang you're chasing something, a process of producing pinya while ignoring the potentialities of pinya as a material, or what it's capable of doing.
Yeah.
If you're chasing for the pure and quote-unquote authentic, mas nakakapera sila dun sa isa eh.
Yeah.
The producers, the embroiderers, the people in the communities, they make money by producing what the market wants.
Opo.
Who are we to say that that is not authentic?
Yeah.
I mean, you may not like it, but di wag mong bilhin. Diba? So, that tension, I think, covers all aspects of the conversation on culture and the evolution of culture.
At saka parang napaisip rin ako dun, sir, na parang who are we to say that what they're doing is inauthentic?
Diba?
Kung tutuusin, pag-aari nila yun eh.
Diba?
It's a
Number
communal
one.
property eh. Practice yun
Number
ng
one.
community. Yeah.
Number two, you're going to force them. You're going to force them to produce something that will take them, I don't know, 6 months to produce, when they can make more money and feed their families by producing something in a fraction of a time, binibili naman ng tao. So it's the commercial interests plus, what we in Manila, let's call ourselves the elite, academic elite, financial elite, social elite, whatever. Na wala naman tayong kamalay-malay on what goes into producing
Those
a
things.
certain object. Diba?
So parang yun nga po kasi may pressure to supply.
May pressure to
Kasi may
supply. Yun
may
nga
demand,
eh.
malaki yung demand.
It's the idea of commercial exchange. I mean, heritage can also be a commodity, whether that is built structure or otherwise, songs, dances, that can be adapted for, we can call bayanihan dancers or Ramon Obusan dancers. Hindi yan authentic. Commercialized na yan eh. Bakit hindi? Why shouldn't that be why should that be excluded from this bracketing of cultural heritage? Diba? I'm talking about, these are not my own personal views, no? I'm echoing what I hear from people around me and what their complaints, even my mother to a certain extent, no? I mean, yung embroidery na nakukuha natin ngayon hindi gaya ng dati, 'di ba? Parang when the craftsmanship could be the same polish, the same skill, the same elegance. Iba lang yung material kasi mas madali yung pinaproduce ngayon. So, which raises a more important question. Is the presence of the state an important element in the sustenance of what we call cultural heritage? Diba? I mean, we hear of castles and manorial houses and homes in the United Kingdom being shut down or resold because the owners cannot afford the taxes. The owners cannot afford the maintenance of a staff of 100 people or 50 people at their beck and call. So either they reinvent themselves as a commercial, i.e. sustainable enterprise, or donate it to the state, who will support that house while giving you a certain, only limiting your presence in only a certain portion, or demanding that you open the rest of the house to the general public. Pero may support ka. In other words, hindi ka na magbabayad ng real estate tax. So, yung question nga na yun, if we look at let's look at the weavers, whether banig, malong, pinya, whatever, is it important, or to what extent is it important that they be given support by the state, either in terms of subsidy or promotions, which is what essentially, which is what we have these art fairs or crafts fairs or whatever, CITEM, government or partially governmentally funded road shows are about. That's the biggest kasi is the presence of the state.
Correct.
Importante ba sila?
Yeah.
Kaya ba natin na walang involvement of the state? 'Di ba?
Yeah. And sir, parang may baka kasi may assumption rin na parang the state has the capability of preserving that thing, or for example a house or a heritage building. So may assurance sir when it comes to capability, the capacity of the state.
Or priorities.
Correct.
How
Yeah.
naman will you restore, renovate, refurbish, reinvent, whatever a particular heritage building, all around it, ang daming hindi kumakain.
Yeah.
I mean,
Isa pa 'yon. Yeah.
there's that's the development aspect. I mean, how do you reconcile spending so much on a particular heritage artifact when the context is the community around that particular artifact is can't even feed themselves.
Yeah.
I'm taking it to an extreme. There are success stories like Iloilo, for instance, Silay, for instance. But that's public-private partnership yan eh.
Yeah.
It's the creativity from the private sector, and maybe the public sector, the state cannot shell out money, but they can give you tax breaks or whatever promotional material. They'll pay for your marketing, whatever. So Iloilo's a perfect example. They got the UNESCO culinary capital of the Philippines, but it had to be a city. I know I'm from Pampanga, and the Kapampangans are all up in arms about Iloilo getting that title.
Yeah.
Pinaghirapan nila eh.
Oh.
Diba? I mean, the local governor or mayor really lobbied for it. That's the kind of support that they had from the state. Maybe not money, but yan.
Support. Yeah. Pero syempre may rin 'yon, may implication para i-boost yung tourism. So may
Correct.
agenda siya, 'di ba?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Tama. Which may not be, promoting tourism is not altogether bad.
Yeah.
Baka naman may mga pamilya doon na naghahalongkat ng recipe book ng lola at lola nila, tapos nakahanap ng original recipe ng pak choy ng 1925. Oh. Diba? Interesting din yun. That's all part of how cultures grow and sustain themselves. Discovery and rediscovery.
Yeah.
You know?
And now the local state actors try to package those
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Oo.
Para lang sa tourism.
Para lang sa
Kita.
tourism. Or mag-host sila ng food festival sa Iloilo, di ba? Iimbitahin nila mga chefs from Manila, tapos magko-collab sila.
Yeah.
And the local government will organize, or like for example, my cousin Miko Calo is a chef, no? She grew up, born and raised in Butuan. My mother's from Butuan, that's where the Calos are from. The congressman paid for everything just to bring in Butuanon chefs here in Manila to go to Butuan, shoot a little video, explore, and cook. And they used it for their marketing material. That's also maybe the results might not be immediate, pero that's part already of promoting local or indigenous ingredients, local ingredients. So, yan, bracket ng heritage.
Hindi ba
Diba?
yung parang, di ba recently nauuso sa mga local government yung mga yung parang mag-host sila halimbawa ng, yung parang gusto nila ng recognition ng Guinness World Record, may mga ganon na parang nagpapahanda sila ng marami, ganyan. Parang,
Hindi ko magets.
sorry.
Hindi ko magets yun. Hindi ko naintindihan yun. Yung the biggest paella,
Yung
biggest
mga ganyan, sir.
Ano ba yan?
Pero
Hindi
yun,
ko gets. Hindi ko talaga.
Pero yun, para lang sir, para siguro for their tourism, ganyan, or for the recognition of their LGUs, ganyan. which may also
Siguro na.
entail yung pagpo-promote ng heritage nila. Pero in a sense, parang ano rin yun parang they're essentializing a particular
Yeah.
version of heritage,
Yes.
packaging it, and then, ayun nga, para ma-attribute sa bayan nila.
Oo, tama. And you use the word essentializing. Essentializing the indigenous, as anthropologists would say, reifying the indigene. It widens the gap between me, you, and the other. Kasi ang effect nun is that you're going to get how do you say, there could be an unproductive backlash to the way you reify the indigene and aspire to recapture its purity. I don't know how productive that would be to the general conversation of sustaining cultures, or sustaining heritage.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm using the terms interchangeably. There should be a difference. Kasi prostitution, that's also part of culture, di ba? I-promote mo yon. Medyo, sandali.
Yeah.
Di ba?
Opo. So yun, you mentioned prostitution. So in short, napaisip tuloy ako. Kasi syempre, not all aspects of our culture are good. I mean, not all aspects of our culture are promotable. So ibig sabihin, the things that we promote are also selective, right? So who selects, who packages that kind of thing, and then how do they sell it? Parang ganyan. Diba? So yun, yung cultural
Pero tayo ang nagde-decide.
Yeah.
Hindi sila. You know what I'm saying? So, we determine what how do you say? We determine what is heritage, what is valuable to us or not.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing. So that's why you have going back to the communities.
Correct.
And talking to the people of the communities. Correct. For them to take ownership of their own culture. I mean, that's very much in the development discourse. And that's very recent. I mean, recent meaning 10, 20 years, no?
Yeah.
We didn't think this way back in the 70s. It was always top down. Now the conversation is horizontal. It's not, power is horizontal. It's dispersed. It's everywhere and nowhere, rather than a vertical top-down approach.
Yeah.
Yan gusto ko yan, yan heritage yan i-promote natin yan.
Yeah.
That was the attitude of the state back then. Not just ours, all over, global.
Yeah.
Ngayon iba na.
Parang sir, parang co-production, right?
Parang ganun.
Sa
Oo, parang may conversation na. I mean, even the National Museum, they go back to they go back to the source communities, and they talk about their objects there. And I think there's even a possible that they're bringing back the objects to the source communities, that sort of thing. I don't know how successful that will be, but that's there nonetheless.
Ayun, sir. So, let's move on po dun sa natin, dun sa conversation guide po natin. So, yun nga po, sir. So, you're involved in producing Travel Time, and at that time, as I said, that was the pioneering travel show in the Philippines that also showcases Philippine heritage po. Tapos, syempre, tumakbo po yung panahon, and then other TV shows also did the same. But in a different parang tingin niyo po yung naging paano siya nag-evolve yung pagpo-promote ng cultural heritage in Philippine media po.
Okay, I'm glad you one thing I noticed, one thing that was very, very important for my mother as producer and host of Travel Time is that your research had to be solid.
Okay.
The information that you would put out to the general public and share with the general public had to be as correct as you could possibly determine given the time constraints. Ang nakikita ko kasi ngayon, and she used to say, a good show begins with a good script.
Okay.
And so her script writers, apart from me, were Floyd Quintos, Bambi Lamoglia Harper. I think Jimmy Laya wrote some scripts. I think Marilu Diaz Abaya. I mean, she had she had people to write the script for one, and who could write it well and correctly. The information had to be correct. The information first, kasi I remember something she said. For a show to be educational doesn't necessarily have to be boring.
No.
So although she filled it with images because it is after all television, no? What the host says and what is being said in the show had to be correct. Hindi na, I'm with the general blogs or vlogs because nga it's social media at saka wala silang puhunan. Sometimes mas skip ups na lang, di ba? Or they feature a place, a topic, approach a topic on the fly. Naga-adlib na lang, or you can tell that hindi naman script ang pinagbasihan nito yung ganon, or hindi mo pa pinagtrabahuan to, parang never mind. Sige. Pero entertaining, or or anyway, hindi mo naman papanoodin kasi nasa YouTube lang naman.
Yeah.
Shut it off. Diba? But that's the responsibility, I think, of my mother or Travel Time as a show. Always took their responsibilities as in sharing information and sharing knowledge, and they took that responsibility very, very seriously.
Sincere, kasi marami na po tayong mga travel vloggers, ganyan, and then featuring, for example, old churches, di ba? Mga
Old
places,
churches, picture,
ganyan.
picture,
Hindi
video,
ba
kausapin mo yung
correct.
pare.
Hindi ba yung mga may mga mga mukbang.
Diba?
Right. So parang,
Or pupunta ka sa Betis Church, kukunin mo yung altar. Yung sabi mo, painting ni Simon Flores. Nakalimutan. Kasi hindi kilala. Hindi nag-research
yeah. So parang ganyan. So yun, and sa YouTube yan, and then even on Facebook, on TikTok, ganyan. Tapos napapansin ko rin, sir, sa Facebook, ang daming nag-uusbungan ngayon ng mga Facebook groups on cultural heritage. So sa mga old churches, mga ganyan, even old photos of Manila and other places in the Philippines. Parang magandang anuhin rin yun. I mean, magandang tignan. How do they...
Magandang tignan, magandang himayin.
Yeah.
For me, it's a positive, it's a step forward in terms of imparting awareness for our past. Kasi, and that's important, because that's the thing about heritage. That's, it gives us a sense of continuity. Never mind as a people, but continuity as a person. Who I was yesterday, who I am today, is who my ancestors were yesterday, and who I may be 20 years, 30 years from now. So that's sort of the whole conversation or awareness of heritage and continuity and cultural preservation, that whole advocacy. It gives us a sense of place, a sense of continuity, that we're part of a larger mess that is culture.
Ayun, sir. So, today we have different platforms. So, siguro unlike before na parang makapangyarihan yung traditional media.
Oo.
Di ba?
Oo. Oo.
So,
Yeah.
parang baka
And I like that.
Yes, sir.
I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing it. I mean, if I don't like it, I don't have to watch it, no? But I like that curiosity that it's inspiring in me, in others, in people of my age or younger. You know, and that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, you know, you think of other people as it shortens the gap between us and the others. You know, and you realize that we're really just all the same. I mean, we can't be all the same, but we're the same.
Parang yung connection. Parang
Connections.
Connections. Okay po.
Yeah.
So parang
Yeah.
in a sense, since we have multiple platforms today, the production of knowledge regarding heritage, cultural heritage, parang it has been democratized,
Correct.
multiplied.
Correct. Yeah.
Pero at the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
parang baka nasa awareness level lang.
Oo.
Tama po ba? Parang kulang sa lalim.
Oo.
Or, yeah.
Oo. Yeah. Well, your medium kasi dictates your content eh. I mean, you have to adjust to, I suppose you have to adjust to your platform eh.
Correct.
You know, kung kung TikTok, I mean, kung ilang minuto lang, less than 1 minute, no?
Yeah.
I mean, Instagram nga, magpo-post ka ng Instagram, hindi naman pwedeng buong essay ang ilagay mo, no?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's but you know, you keep the stimuli present. You know, you keep the awareness alive in some form or another.
Okay.
You know, yun ang importante.
Opo. So parang to keep the conversations going and then to raise awareness as well.
Yeah.
Syempre, baka assignment na natin yung individual assignment is to deepen our knowledge on our heritage. And then we also need to understand that culture is not just shared but lived.
Lived.
So because it's
Exactly.
lived, nagbabago siya, right? Kasi siya, mga practices and then it also entails negotiations.
Correct.
So, correct. And then that also involves a lot of stakeholders and some of your stakeholders are powerful than others. So may ano rin po yan.
Heritage is not static.
Correct.
It's not a fixed state. It's not a fixed thing, tangible or intangible. It's dynamic. It's creative. It moves across time, across space. You know, I sound like an anthropologist, but that's the logic of how something evolves. No, you know, heritage is not hindi lang isa. You know, so maraming prosesong pumapasok sa heritage or what we conceive and how we conceptualize heritage.
Yeah. Opo. So, kaya kailangan rin tignan yung power relations, diba? The cultural politics of it, not just the surface, right? And how different.
Maybe it's I'm more aware of that because admittedly I'm not a heritage advocate. I'm not a cultural advocate. You know, I like to be an advocate kasi you have to take a position of what you think is valuable and what is important. Hindi naman ako ganung klaseng tao. You know, I'm not really into advocacies of that sort. You know? I think travel time was had its own advocacy, was an advocate as a production company, as a show in itself, but not by design. It was more, you know, my mother wanted to how do you say, to promote, not really promote, but to shed light on a particular culture in a particular province that had to be informative as well as entertaining.
Yeah. And at the time, sir, I mean, late 80s, 90s. So syempre hindi pa uso yung mga promo fare sa sa eroplano, ganyan.
Oo, grabe.
Konti pa lang yung may diyan, yung kaya mag-travel. So in short, the travel time itself, the show itself helped promote different places in the Philippines. So
Yes,
parang
yes,
siguro
yes.
that's the legacy.
That's the legacy. It's,
Yeah.
it's talagang wag maging dayuhan sa sariling bayan, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the legacy is really, there's so much to explore. I remember one episode when she featured Mount Pulag. I think her closing spiel was I remember that clearly. People ask me why. My mother goes. People ask me why I love the Philippines, and then the camera zooms out, and then she spreads her arms and says, "This is why I love the Philippines." And it's the whole panoramic view of the top of Mount Pulag. And that was how she promoted
Yeah.
the Philippines, and for someone who, of course, we were, in that sense, we were all subliminally, how do you say, educated, or that was part of our formation, rather. That was part of our formation.
Yeah. Okay, sir. So, maraming salamat, sir, sa
thank you.
napakayamang kwentuhan at napakaindi ng oras.
Yeah, thank you. We could continue this conversation for another hour or so, but
Yeah.
thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Mark. So, do you have any message po siguro sa ating mga friends from traditional media, digital media, academics, students, or people who are just interested in cultural heritage?
Whew.
Siguro, sir, pwedeng i-complete na lang natin ito. Baka naman pwedeng blank.
Baka naman pwedeng, ano kaya? Pag-aralan yung mabuti yung pinu-produce ninyo. Hindi, joke. Hindi. Well, yeah. Educate yourself.
Okay.
Make sure it's a responsibility. Be true to yourself. It's a responsibility to yourself as well as to your viewers.
Okay.
Take the time. Hindi tayo nagmamadali. Baka naman you can sit down and learn more about your content. Doesn't mean it has to be boring or not entertaining. But it just has to be correct.
Yun. So, maraming salamat po, Sir Mark.
Maraming salamat din.
Giving us the opportunity to have you in this conversation this afternoon. At,
Thank you.
Dito nagtatapos ang Baka Naman Pwede. Maraming salamat muli kay Sir Mark para sa pagpapaunlak sa aming imbitasyon. At baka naman pwede nyo ring i-like ang Institute of Philippine Culture sa Facebook para sa iba pa naming mga announcements at events. At speaking of events, ngayong taong ito, ipinagdiriwang ng Institute of Philippine Culture ang ika-65 taon ng makabuluhang pananaliksik, pakikipag-ugnayan at pagtataguyod ng inklusibong pagbabago. Mula sa pagkakatatag nito noong 1960, patuloy na nagsisilbing sentro ng masusing pag-aaral, paghubog sa kakayahan at pagtatagpo ng iba't ibang tinig at pananaw, ang IPC tungo sa pag-unawa sa masalimuot na kalagayan ng ating lipunan bilang ambag sa mas makatarungan at makataong pagbabago. Inaanyayahan namin kayong lahat na makiisa sa mga aktibidad at huntahan na aming inihanda upang gunitain at ipagdiwang ang yugtong ito sa kasaysayan ng IPC. Bahagi ng pagdiriwang na ito ay ang Father Frank Lynch Distinguished Lecture na gaganapin sa Hurtado Hall, Social Development Complex, Ateneo de Manila University ngayong Lunes, ika-15 ng Setyembre mula alas 2 ng hapon hanggang alas 4. Tayo na't makinig sa lecture ni Sir Mark na pinamagatang A House is Not Just a House. Ritual, Kinship, and Materiality in the 19th Century Filipino Home in Arayat, Pampanga. Tatalakayin niya ang mga restoration work na ginagawa sa kanilang ancestral house sa Pampanga at kanyang pagdinilayan ang kahalagahan ng bahay hindi lamang bilang isang tahanan kundi isang cultural vessel na nag-uugnay sa kasaysayan at sa komunidad. Muli, ito po ay gaganapin sa Hurtado Hall, Social Development Complex ng Ateneo de Manila University this coming Monday, September 15 from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Samahan niyo rin kami sa susunod na Biyernes, ika-19 ng Setyembre, mula alas 2 ng hapon hanggang alas 5 ng hapon sa Leong Hall Auditorium sa Ateneo de Manila University upang tunghayan ang 2025 Leong Institute Fellows Forum. Ito ay hosted ng Ricardo Leong Institute for Global and Area Studies o Leong Institute. Itinatampok po namin sa inyo si Dr. Dennis Batangan, Research Scientist ng IPC, recipient ng Ricardo Leong Grants for Global Area Studies Research at awardee ng 2025 PhilAst Lourdes Campus Awards for Public Health. Kanya pong ipepresent ang mga findings sa kanyang naging pag-aaral na may pamagat na pagtataya sa kalusugan, benchmarking for a Philippine Foresight Study. Muli, ito po ay gaganapin sa susunod na Biyernes, September 19, 2 to 5 p.m. sa Leong Hall, Ateneo de Manila University. Sa mga interesado pong makilahok sa mga events na ito, makikita niyo po ang posters ng mga events sa Facebook page ng IPC. Hanggang dito na lang po. Ako po muli si John mula sa IPC at patuloy po tayong mag-ingat at laging tandaan kung may gustong maunawaan, baka naman pwede nating pag-usapan.
Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration.
Baka naman pwede.
Baka naman pwede?
Baka naman pwede.
Mga isyung napapanahon ating pag-usapan.
Baka naman pwede.
Gamit ang mga pananaw mula sa iba't ibang kalinangan.
Baka naman pwede!
Mula sa Institute of Philippine Culture, kami inyong samahan, tayo'y maghuntahan. Dito lang sa
Baka naman pwede.
tuwing Huwebes, alas 3 ng hapon, dito